The North London Derby, a fixture that never disappoints, from the electric atmosphere before the game to a Thomas Partey thunderbolt. The flares were out, and even after a small Harry Kane setback, Jesus did what he does best. It was cheerio to Emerson Royale, and Granit Xhaka put the cherry on top. And as Tottenham get battered, ringed around the Emirates, Mikel Arteta's Arsenal put down a statement. So in this video, I think it's only right that we break the game down and discuss the 5 things that we learnt from Arsenal 3, Tottenham 1. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel. A massive gargantuan shout out to the guys at Picstory. They sent your boy to the game and I enjoyed an electrifying atmosphere, and they are on a mission to create a space where all fans can speak in a very safe manner, and I have put a link down below in the description where you can download the app, which I highly recommend. It goes without saying, smash a like if you enjoy it and subscribe to the channel if you are new. But let's start off with the Midfield Masterclass. Spurs have a fantastic attack, Arsenal have a fantastic defence, but in terms of midfield, I think that's where the key battle was always going to be. Højbjerg and Bentancur, they're decent little players, but they are not on the same calibre, the level of Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka. And to further stamp down Arsenal's superiority in midfield, Arteta started Zinchenko, essentially another midfielder on top of Arsenal's 3. It gave Arsenal a fantastic overload in the build-up phase. The idea that Arteta had was obviously to dominate this game as much as Arsenal possibly could in terms of sustaining pressure and keeping the ball ticking. And that midfield understood the mission, and in this game they simply took over the game. The man of the match was given to Granit Xhaka, and after the game when Jesus was handing Xhaka his man of the match award, he says, "Finally, I don't know how, but congrats." Xhaka replies, "Give it to me, yeah, after 7 years I get the first." Yet another fantastic Xhaka performance, and what we are seeing once again is the continuous evolution of Xhaka becoming an even more decisive player going forwards. In 8 Premier League matches this season, Xhaka has 2 goals and 3 assists. 5 goals and assists in 8 games for Granit Xhaka is insane numbers. It just goes to show the elite job that Mikel Arteta has done coaching Xhaka and transforming him into almost what is a new player. It's not just the goals and assists though. If you look at Xhaka after the first Arsenal goal, he is seen regrouping the entire Arsenal team, getting them back into a huddle and giving out the instructions of a leader. He does not need the Arsenal captain's armband, his actions speak louder. And there is a reason why he's the captain of his country and why he was given the Arsenal captaincy in the first place. And after the game, when you have the entire Emirates Stadium chanting "Granit Xhaka, we've got," what once looked like a relationship that was all but over has now very slowly become something very beautiful. But talking of Arsenal goal scorers from midfield, what a goal from Thomas Partey. You see, the game plan of Conte in the first place was that he wanted to kind of sit back and park the bus, but when you give a team the quality of this Arsenal side the ball, we will always find a way to ruin your game plan. And the one thing that Conte didn't want is for an Arsenal player to score from outside the box, but that is exactly what Thomas Partey did with a fantastic long shot, curling it into the top right hand corner. It also had 22 passes in the build-up. Arsenal passed Spurs to death. They could not get the ball. The way that Arsenal are so mature and so calm and so methodical, controlling the game and just passing it side to side, trying to open up a gap. It was very clever what Arsenal were doing, and that was luring the Spurs block into certain positions and opening up space in others. But as well as that goal, we also saw a fantastic Partey performance. Playing 73 minutes, 67 touches, 52 accurate passes and a 95% passing accuracy. 4 key passes, 3 accurate long balls, 1 successful dribble, and 2 out of 2 ground duels won. Fantastic in terms of controlling transitions and stopping counter-attacks, and the fact that he kept the ball 95% of the time, that is the level of ball security of a world-class player. It was yet another big game where Xhaka and Partey have turned up. They are one of the best midfield partnerships in the entire league, and when they start, 9 times out of 10, Arsenal are going to win the game. Moving on to the second thing, checkmate Antonio Conte. Mr. Antonio Conte is sometimes a very weird guy. You know, he's a fantastic manager on his day, great tactician, and he's won so many trophies. Not at Spurs though, but he's also a very contradicting person. You see, if we go back to Arsenal's last game against Spurs, where Arsenal lost 3-0. After the game, Conte told Arteta to stop complaining after Arteta was left angry that the referee sent off an Arsenal player. Fast forward to October 2022 and Conte says the red card killed the game. So the same guy that told Arteta to focus on his team in the last game and not to complain about referees. Well, thank you for the advice, Antonio, because Mikel Arteta took that and gave you a 3-1 defeat. Checkmate. And in terms of the XG, Arsenal had 2.16, the Spurs is 1.39. But in terms of non-penalty expected goals, Spurs only had 0.62. So apart from that penalty, Spurs were limited to very few chances. And their stats show a truly dominant performance. 64% possession, double the passes completed, nearly 80% of the field tilt, 82 final third entries. Looking into the field tilt, look at the red and look at the blue. Arsenal and Spurs' half in that final third, attacking and dominating. And in terms of Spurs, next to no moments whatsoever. And if you look into the passing networks, on one side you've got the Arsenal 11, all there and thereabouts above the halfway line. And then you've got Spurs, a majority of the players deep within their own half. I understand that football is about perspectives and you have different styles of football, but personally speaking, I have a clear preference to our style of play, and there's a reason behind that. I want to see my team play football. I want to see my team be aggressive. And in terms of today, even though Arsenal were that, I don't even think that we were at our true best. In fact, in that first half after we scored the first goal, we saw the Arsenal energy levels drop off. And yes, that gave Spurs a chance back into the game, but in terms of the second half, that's where I was most impressed. And quite a few of our other games, Arsenal haven't been the best in the second half. They've sat back or they've not been as good in the first halves. But in this game, Arsenal showed they can also be second half FC. And by taking the game to Spurs, we made our own luck. We forced them into errors. And we showed Antonio Conte we have the ability to rip apart deep blocks and cause so many issues. The system alone creates so many chances and forces so many errors that Arsenal are always going to find ways to make chances and in turn score more goals. We have scored 20 goals this season so far, the second most in the entirety of the Premier League. And I can't lie to you guys, looking into the way that Spurs played and the way Arsenal played, even though we expected it, it was still very satisfying and it was almost vindication to football that the team that had the better footballing intentions went on to win the game. Moving on to the third thing, and that is the role of Bukayo Saka. According to a few guys, Bukayo Saka has had a poor start to the season. I don't know what those guys are watching. In this game, the role of Bukayo Saka was very important. Look into his stats: 6 progressive passes, 4 box entry passes, 5 key passes, 3 shots, 1 dribble completed, 9 progressive carries, and 11 deep touches. This guy was almost a metronome in that final third, and every time he got the ball, he attracted 2 or 3 Spurs players. And that is because Spurs respect Saka so much. They understand the quality he has. Saka was drawing in players towards him, and that in turn opened up space for others. And that was perfectly shown in the first Arsenal goal, attracting 3 Spurs players, then finding Ben White, who finds Thomas Partey, who finds the back of the net. On the other side, you also had another top wide performance, Gabriel Martinelli. What a player, by the way. 6 progressive passes, 7 deep completions, 2 key passes, 3 shots, 4 dribbles completed, 11 progressive carries, 15 deep touches and 2 tackles. And he must be eating some crazy food right now, because the way that this guy is bouncing players off, the Spurs players couldn't get near him. And on the topic of players that Spurs couldn't get near, Gabriel Jesus at it again, 8 goals and assists in 8 appearances. The goal itself was him being a poacher and showing Arsenal fans something that we did not have last season: someone actually willing to move in the box. Hold up play was also fantastic, but more importantly, the dribbling. Look, Christian Romero might be a Spurs player, but I think he's a very good defender. The way that Jesus was dancing past him like this guy was no one, it showed me a special player. And after the game, Jesus says, "I'm feeling at home." The way that he celebrated the Arsenal goal, the knee slide was amazing, Henry-esque. But even after that, the way he turns to the fans and looks to the crowd, he gave the Arsenal fans the look of someone that understands that he is that guy. Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is William Saliba pockets Harry Kane. We all knew that Saliba was going to be special, but this special? In this game, he had the most touches, most passes, most successful passes, most aerial duels won, most tackles, most clearances, and most recoveries. 21 years of age and up against Harry Kane, who is one of the best strikers in the world. His penalty was the only time he was seen outside of Saliba's pocket. This is a guy that is not fazed by any pressure or any players. And even in this game, in his first ever North London derby, he was not fazed. He was was dribbling out of the back calm as ever, moving Harry Kane to one side like he's no one, and even going as far as not making players in the opposition box. Very slowly but surely, alongside Arsenal fans who know how special he is, even the rest of the Premier League and fans from other clubs are telling me, wow, Arsenal have a truly special player. But on the right hand side, alongside Saliba, you also had yet another very underrated performance from Benjamin White. Coming off in the second half and walking past the Spurs fans, showing them the scoreline of 3-1. Alongside the S-Housery, you also had another very solid and standard Ben White performance where he is near flawless defensively, but growing even more as the inverted right back. In this game, what we saw Ben White do on a few occasions is overlap, and in quite a few of those occasions, he was very successful. Either he was luring players towards him and giving Saka more space on the ball, but also able to cross the ball into the box and make a very good chance for Gabriel Jesus. Saliba, Jesus, Xhaka, Partey, they will all get the credit, but I just think the performances of Ben White are going under the radar. Moving on to the fifth thing, and that is a title statement. The Man United game hurt me very hard because it was the first Big Six team that Arsenal played. We went to the ground, we put in a decent performance and maybe deserved to win the game, but ultimately we were defeated. And it set some stupid narrative that Arsenal can't turn up in big games, they struggle with big teams, and on the counter-attack they're always going to be exposed. But in this game against a top team in Spurs, who are third place in the league, have not lost a single game and are fantastic on the counter-attack, Arsenal rewrote the narrative. A statement victory, a statement performance, and a statement of going 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. 21 points out of a possible 24. It's been a sensational start, and going into the future, Arsenal now have Bodo Glimt in the Europa League, Liverpool at home next weekend, Bodo Glimt away, Leeds away, PSV Eindhoven at home, and Southampton away. You know, we've got Bodo Glimt first, of course, but past that, Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium. This was our first Big Six game at the Emirates this season, and we came out with an emphatic victory. We have to now make the Emirates a fortress, and so in our next game against a Liverpool team that is out of form, they are still a team full of some top players. If we're able to beat them and beat Spurs and Liverpool back to back in the Premier League at the Emirates Stadium, people will start to have that conversation about a certain title. But in terms of Arteta on if Arsenal are serious title contenders, he says, I'll leave that to you guys. Honestly, we are just at a start and we are really happy with where we are, and understanding that you cannot control everything. The table says what it says, but it's not something that we look at. There is still a very long time to go and there will be twists and turns. But you have to wonder that if the key Arsenal personnel can stay fit, the first team players, your Parteys, your Jesuses, should we start asking the question of, are Arsenal serious title contenders this season? I'm not quite sure, I still want to move in silence, but I'm going to ask you guys to answer the question down below in the comments. Watching Arsenal so far this season, if our key players can remain fit, do you believe that Arsenal have a serious chance of winning the Premier League title? It's crazy, but it is what it is. But that's the video there and there, so hopefully you have enjoyed and learned some new things. If you have, smash a like and subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to follow your boy on all of the social medias and download Picstory, an amazing app, and all the details are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things that we learned from Arsenal 3, Spurs 1, a gargantuan Derby Day victory, and a quick reminder to all the mouthy Spurs fans and Antonio Conte that North London is still red. I'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves and have a good